Grandma's going to talk to Sophie.
Sophie, do you want to listen to Grandma? I'm going to tell you a story when I was a little girl.
Maybe Sophie could sit in a little chair here.
You know what snow is, honey? You know what snow is? Has she been to the snow? Well, snow is what white falls down and gets on the ground, and you have to walk real carefully. Well, Grandma was going to church. There was a little girl like you, and my dad had a sled with a little box on it, and I sat in the box all wrapped up, and he pulled that sled through all the snow to go to church. So that's the first memory that I have of my young days.
Wow.
And I was about your age. I had two aunties that wanted me to have a dolly, but they wouldn't give it to me unless I came out and stayed at their house for a weekend. And I had never been away from my home, and I didn't want to go, but I wanted that big dolly because they showed it to me at the store. And so I went out there, and you know what they did? They gave me a permanent. I was 5 years old, and they gave me a permanent, and they gave me candy and gum and everything else. And that night, before I went to bed, they gave me chocolate-covered peanuts and hot milk. And guess what happened during the night? I got sick. And you know what else? They took me home the next morning, so I didn't have to stay the whole weekend, but they bought me $1 next week anyway. Isn't that a good story? Have you got a story, something like that? No? No story to tell us?
Can she tell about what she did with the Easter eggs today?
No? What about your Easter egg hunt today? Did you go?
Too much fast, too much fast, too much fast.
Too much fast? It's too fast? Oh, okay. All right. That was in 1937, I think. And I was in high school, beginning high school, and that's where I met Grandpa. And we'd go up and down halls. There were 3 halls. There was 3 stories. And we'd go this way, and I'd come that way, so we'd meet each other going like that. And he was in my home room, and he wanted a pencil, and I loaned him a pencil, but he says it's the opposite. So we're still arguing about that. And we went on picnics, and we called them powwows in those days where you had a fire. So that's how I met Grandpa. He was in my home room in school. And I was 14. So what are you doing now for your entertainment?
Cheer.
Cheer, yeah. And you just made your special
Yeah, varsity.
varsity. That's good.
Tell Grandma about
That's
it.
great. Where did you go to try out for?
In the gym,
Uh-huh.
and we had to do routines and jumps and kicks and stuff. And then we had to wait for like 3 hours, and then they brought out balloons with their number on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said they had a card on it, and you had to get your balloon with your number, and then on the card it said if you made it or not.
That was exciting, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's 2003.
Yep.
So what were you doing when you were my age,
And
right?
I was I was in 1942, and I was during the war. And first of all, we were married. Grandpa and I were married on December 12th, and he had to go into the service on December 26th. And so he was gone for 4 months, and he went to officers training school. And I was working at the time. I worked for a dermatologist, and that's about it. Just waited for Grandpa to come back. And he was gone for about 4 years during the war. So the war is on right now.
Yep.
At your age, huh?
Yep.
So,
Right now there's another one.
yeah. So things just go round and round, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're here today. So okay. And what else? But there was something else that I was going to tell you about 1942.
Tell them about yourself, Grandma.
Me, I'm just graduated high school. Just got out of one college, decided to go to a different one, and right now I'm trying to figure out what kind of classes I want to take. And I just got a new job, so I'm going to see how that works out.
Did you get something yet?
Yes.
Did you?
Yep.
Where?
Yep.
You know?
I'm turning 24 today.
Okay, well, I'm trying to think about when I was 24. And I think it was the time when Doug was born. We lived in Minnesota, and we had the 3 children back there. And so it was pretty crowded, and the bathroom was upstairs. And so we had to go up and down. And Doug was just a little kid, and he grew up all by himself. He'd come down and get some cookies or something out of the closet and sit there on the Davenport and eat cookies while he's waiting for the sun to come up. Because he was antsy, he didn't like to sleep. So that was our Minnesota days, and we had friends from Grandpa's school, and I had my girlfriends yet from high school, but we lost contact now, but we had a lot of friends. And so now what did you do? What are you doing?
I just moved to San Francisco for my second time in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working early jobs so that I have the afternoons free to try to get internships and start getting some writing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
publishing sorts of internships and stuff like that.
Did you go back to the what was it you worked first in?
The museum?
Uh-huh.
No.
There's nothing there.
No, that was a bad place to go in the first place.
Oh.
So I haven't started researching anything yet, but going up this week I'll have a computer set up in my room and spend my days researching places to find.
Well, I'm glad you're finding what you want. So I have to remember what I did when I was 27, and I've got a lot of this written down because there's too many of you to remember it all. And this was, we were still in St. Paul.
What year was it?
1950, her birthday. I mean, that's what mine would be. And Grandpa got his PhD. And what else did we go? We did something else. Oh, we moved to California in February of '51. And it was about 12 below when we left Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
With 3 kids. And Doug was so bundled up that he was stiff in the back seat. He couldn't even bend. We had so many clothes because we didn't have a heater in the car.
Well, did you have baby Tom during this year?
No, 51.
50.
No, 50.
I was gonna say.
No, okay,
Well,
I
baby
got
Tom.
him 51. Okay.
So you had a
Well, we
brand new
yes,
baby.
Yes, we had that. He was about a year old, 11 months when we moved out here. And he was in the back. I mean, we had a kind of a car seat, but not like they got today. And we had everything to do to keep him in there. We fed him things, and at one point, Grandpa took a roll of toilet paper and threw it out the back, let it go out the back window, and stood up Tom looking out the back window and watching the paper float. So that's
To
how we got
entertain
here. And then
him.
when we got to Arizona, we almost went off the mountains in a snowstorm. But we got there safely. So that's what I was doing when I was your age. And what about you? What age are you now?
No, you're 29 still.
Mrs. Andy. Mrs. Andy Hoban. And I guess I was doing the same things you. I was doing what she was doing. But we met you along the way, and we're glad to have you with our family.
Glad to be.
Now you got to tell what you're doing.
Currently working full-time and going to school part-time and
Working
trying to
your way around.
rebuild a house
Full time.
full-time.
And they're coming along, all right?
Yeah, very well. Backyard's slowly coming together, getting all our concrete done. And then we'll start back again on the house.
Well, there's always something in there.
Inevitably.
Okay. Well, good to have you. Did we to ask what you were
No.
doing?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm doing the same thing though.
Same thing he's doing.
I'm working full
See, that's
time,
why-
going to school part time, helping him with the house. Whenever we can.
Well,
So.
you're ambitious kids. You really are.
Trying.
And she's 28 now?
Yeah.
You think? Okay. When I was 28, I'm supposed to tell you what we were doing.
Okay.
And that's when we did move to Minnesota, California. And at that time, we had a nice big backyard. And your mom wanted to know if I could still do cartwheels. And I showed her a cartwheel. Did I stand on my head too? I think I stood on my head for
This
you.
was over in Westwood we did it.
And Van Nuys. No? Westwood?
Student housing.
Okay, so anyway, that's where I turned cartwheels and I stood on my head. And otherwise, for enjoyment, we just went on parties and picnics with friends that we had made out here. It took a while to make friends, but we did. So that's 1951. Oh, my cousin visited us. He was going in the Navy, and he came out to visit. And we had aunties and uncles visiting. What else did I forget? My aunts came out and we'd take them to the ocean because they had never seen the ocean. And we went in the water and one of the waves knocked them over. They got, oh,
Thought it was like a lake.
yeah, so that was fun. So now, what are you doing?
Me? Well, I live in San Francisco, and I'm a first grade teacher. This is my 7th year. And I know.
Can't believe that.
I know. And I have a bilingual class, so I speak Spanish half the day and English half the day. And I don't know what else. Miles just moved up to the city, so I'm closer to him now. And have a new boyfriend, named John.
He's a rugby man.
Yeah, he's in the rugby playoffs. We're proud of him.
Well, good.
But I don't know. Just take it day by day.
Okay. I'm glad you Tanya and Bill Moreno. And this is supposed to represent what age? 31. Are you 31?
I'm 31.
Okay, and when I was 31, we were still out in Van Nuys, or were we in
What year?
54.
Guess
We lived in Keswick then. We bought a house. We were only here a few days out in California, and we bought a house. And we only had $900 to put down. And Dad went down to someone in Bel Air, to a dealer, a real estate gal, and wanted to know if they had any houses for sale. And she said, well, how much do you have to put down? And we said $900. And she looked at us. She says, I think you better go out to the valley. So we went out to the valley to look, and we found one, and we paid $9,000 for it, and it had 1,000 square feet, and we had the 3 kids at that time. Janet was born right after we got there, and my mother and Dad came to live with us, and Grandma May, that's Grandpa's mother, she was with us for 4 months before she died. So in this 1,000 square foot, 1 bathroom, 3 bedroom house, we had all of those people.
What's
We were
that?
crowded.
That's 7 people? 8?
Yeah, 8 people sometimes. Yeah. So we had bunk beds and places where the kids could dig holes with their fingernails, and I'm looking at Tom right now. And that's about what we did. So, anything else that I can
How
think
old is
of?
Bill?
Yeah, Bill, what are you doing now?
No, how old is Bill?
Oh, Bill, how old are you, Bill?
34.
34. Well, we had Janet in the meantime, didn't we?
That was when you went to Canada,
We did?
when you were Bill's age.
Oh, okay. We went to Canada on a sabbatical, Don's first sabbatical, and it was winter, and we drove to Minnesota in February, and it was cold, and we didn't have enough clothes, and so the aunties went out and bought clothes for all our kids when we got there. We drove the rest of the way to Canada after Christmas, and we had a nice year. We met a lot of people, and we square danced, and I lost 10 pounds. So, that's all I
California
had.
life.
California.
Gained too much weight in California.
Yeah. You have to go there to lose. Okay, now what did you do? What are you doing this year?
Been going to school, watching the kids,
And landscaping.
and landscaping the yard just by myself. Sometimes I
Pouring
get help.
cement?
I helped. I helped.
He just put some light sockets, light plugs in onto the wall outside. You know, the angled ones to be arty.
In all that advice too?
That's
Okay.
a lot.
Did you have on a
And
patio cover?
These 2 people here are the parents of the first 2 on here, Sofa and Mela. So just for information,
Yeah.
so we know where they came from.
So what's Tanya?
Was that yours something to say?
I'm a postdoc, and I'm working hard and trying to take care of my 2 babies.
3 babies.
Some more
Yeah,
ambitious.
3 babies.
Ambitious kids.
Where do you
They're
work?
very ambitious.
I work at the Salk Institute. I'm a biologist.
Louder.
I'm a biologist at the Salk Institute.
Yeah. I did a lot of babysitting at that time. Do you remember when I had Tanya? Because Cheryl was working?
No, I was
You
grown
went-
up
you
by
went
then.
home. Well, yeah, sure.
I'm out of there when
Yeah.
Tanya's born.
Okay.
I remember you, I'm supposed to remember you at 50? That's what we're doing here?
No, Mom's gonna tell you about her, so.
I'm supposed to tell you about 50, but I can't remember all the things that went on that.
What
I
year
think
was it?
That was in,
73. I
73.
get married to Richard.
yeah, we had a backyard wedding back there. Is that when the girls picked up the petals?
Yeah.
There were 3 little flower girls, and one of them picked up the petals after the other 2 put them down. So they were a big part of that wedding.
And I wanted poinsettias in the winter.
Oh yeah, and we had how many? About 20 of them, and then 3 big ones that a friend of Dad's loaned to us. So that was a big deal, and we had it outside in December. We wanted it outside, and the neighbors all came, and when they left, they took their flowers home. And we had Girl Scouts together when we were little, me and Brownies together when we were little, and then Elsie and Uncle Doc came out and stayed with us and helped one time when all over. And what else in that?
I remember, I'm putting Julia's light out every night these days, and she's 14. And I remember you still did that for me until I was 15. And I thought, I am too old for this, but I'm so grateful my mom will still turn my light out for me. So I'm doing that for Julia still until she tells me that she's too old.
Did you use the light on her?
Yeah, she's like, good night, and then I come by and I say good night, I turn her light out. And that way you don't have to run from the light to your bed in the dark.
Back in the dark.
And you used to do that for me. I remember you did that until I was very old. And in junior high, you said I could go to work, what do you think of that? And I said, I like you home. And he said, okay, I'll stay home.
Well, I did other work,
I like
though. I did
that.
a lot of other work. I worked with the foreign students. I think I started way back then.
The Indians.
Yeah, and the Indians. And I worked at General Hospital. And I worked at the Red Cross. And the Indians were at the church. We had a Wednesday night service with that. And I had an oven that I could put my food in, and it would come on automatically when I set it, so that was
You had the big dinner
a
parties
lifesaver.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we had our 25-year, that lasted for 25 years. And we started a knitting group too at that time, and Opal started it, and it's still going on. There's only 3 of us, and we don't meet anymore regularly, so there's just 3 of us left.
And Toby.
And Toby, yeah, your dog.
Toby's a puppy then.
And you were from what was her
Carla.
name? Carla. Yeah, he was a good doggy.
I thought he was going to be an English sheepdog, but he turned into a cockapoo.
So, well, now what are you doing? What's your time?
I'm a mother of 2 wonderful kids, Kyle and Julia. They're halfway grown up. And I'm a teacher, pretty successful teacher. I love my work at school. My home sits there. I do a lot to it. And I take care of 2 dogs. And that's what I swim like a maniac. Love to swim. I'm a aerobics swimmer. I'm very tough in the water. So that's my thrill. I go 3 or 4, maybe 5 times a week to swim. In the summer.
76 is when I was 53. And I think, Tom, that's you?
We're both
You're
actually
both the same?
53, yeah,
Okay.
for these few months.
Well, that's when we moved to...
But she's a little older than me.
You moved there before, across the street
Yeah.
on Shaker, before we did. And while we were visiting your house to measure for curtains and things, I went up here with the real estate gal. Just wanted to show up just to get out of the house. And I liked it so well, we brought Grandpa up, and he bought it. I mean, he decided we could buy it. So a few months later, we found ourselves up here. So we lived across the street from each other for, I don't know how many years, Tom?
10.
10 years? Was it that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because you swam in our pool when we put our pool in 78. So, and what else did we do up here?
Of course, I
And
think
then
you moved
I
up here
took,
so you could be closer
took
to
the kids.
Alyssa
Yeah.
and Tanya.
And when we lived on Weatherly, I took Tanya for walks all the time and explained the flowers to her. And we moved up here, I did Lissy, but Lissy was hard to walk because we live on a hill. And I remember one time I came home, I was so tired, I went up the hill backwards. Don't ask me why, but it was easier. But, and one time on our walk with Lissy, a lady about 2-3 blocks from here came running across the street to me. Why do you have my granddaughter? Why do you have my granddaughter? And she scared the wits out of me, so I held onto my wagon and the stroller, and I told her this was my grandbaby, and I took off. That scared me. I didn't go that way for a while. But otherwise, we had lots of swim parties together and cookouts and so forth, so we were glad to have him here. And then, what year did you move away?
86.
86? Yeah, well, that was 10 years that you were up here
Yeah.
then. So that was great. So now you better talk about yourselves and what you're doing.
You go first.
What we're doing now, well, I'm having some spots burned off my nose, so a little bit red nose there.
You taking after your mama.
But, well, I'm kind of changing careers from computers and healthcare to computers and philanthropy and humanitarian stuff, so that's been keeping me pretty busy, and I've been up at Stanford for the year, commuting, working on all kinds of internet, things for humanitarian development. Yeah, I'm watching my family and getting both girls settled in and their houses and grandchildren coming, so things are good. Life is good. I'll bring you Cheryl.
And I'm enjoying life. I've been retired for 4 years now, and I do things like flower arrangements
Isn't this beautiful?
and cooking, which we're about to experience, and playing with our grandchildren and just having a wonderful life.
It's the time to do it. Well,
And
you're
not
not
only arranging them, but growing them.
And this is supposed to be 1982 when I was 59 years old. That's how you're 59.
Talk to me.
Talk to you? Okay, you were 59 this year. And at that time, what was I doing?
What year?
82. Oh, we moved up, we put our pool in. What happened in 82?
It's your life,
I've
Mom.
got all these things written and they all, sent them off. On
Okay,
other
let's say you made the
kids.
pool. Tell about those pool parties.
Yeah,
Those
that's what
super
we did.
pool
We
parties.
started with that. In 78 we started.
Talk to me, Mom.
Okay, I'm talking about that. And we had all the neighbors, and our kids used to live across the street, Tom and Cheryl, and so they'd come, and neighbors from our other neighborhood. So that was one of the things we did in '82. And I think I was still working with the students out of UCR yet, because I did that for about 20 years. And with the Indians, I think we worked about 6 years. And what was the other stuff? Oh, brownies, that was way back when Jana was a little girl. But when you were a little girl, you were a Girl Scout. And I was just on the committee. I wasn't a leader then. But, and now we're doing our swimming classes together.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I
That's great.
dropped out of one because they're rebuilding it and it's difficult to get to. But we're going to another one now. I like that one better. Do you?
I like them both.
Do you? Okay. So that's about all I can remember for 59. How about you?
Well, maybe I'll talk about Coco here before I talk
Oh,
about
that's
me.
right.
This
my
is little
baby.
Coco. Are we boring you, Coco? And 2 years ago, I called Dad on the telephone and I said, Dad, can we get Mom a dog? Because you weren't sure you wanted another dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just went out to the pet store and we got this tiny little dog. How much did she weigh?
It's about 4 pounds and it was the size of her head. That's what she was.
And I
This
brought
was
her
at the
in-
very top.
Brought her into the house, Miles and I did, gave her to you, and you started to cry.
Right.
And I said, Mom, are you crying because you're glad you have a dog or you're not glad you have a dog?
Well, we're sure glad now.
And then we had a party for her last year.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I got famous this week. Remember how I got
Yes,
famous?
Yes.
I named the a fire accelerant dog. There was a contest. I won $200.
You spend more.
I spent it on dog and cat food, Kiwanis.
And
I named the dog Sniffy, and you thought Sniffer would be a good name.
Mhm.
And I retired almost 2 years ago, and went on a big diet, lost 20 pounds, still have a lot to go.
Maria told me she saw you. And you looked
Yeah.
like you'd lost a lot.
Yeah. And I just love my retirement life, and I grow flowers too.
Isn't that beautiful?
So we want to wish you happy 80th birthday. And thank you for the life you've given us.
That's a long years.
Not only given us, but growing us like flowers. So this is your family flower garden. The cruise, Dad.
3 years
The
ago, I don't know.
Yes, your 80th birthday.
Well, it was a very nice
And you
time.
had almost 40 people on the
Yeah,
cruise.
tell me some more. Real nice, and the
Remember
girls
all the
did,
birthday cakes they brought to us?
yeah, and the girls did all kinds of things, and the guys did all kinds of things. It was very nice. I couldn't believe it. I kept saying, why are we making such a fuss over a birthday?
That's right.
Yeah,
So now they're doing that to me.
okay. Turnabout is fair play? Okay.
And what are you doing now?
I'm waiting to get a dessert. And they said if I came in here, I might be able to speed things up.
That's right, that's what you're doing.
Talk faster.
Talk faster and we speed it up, and then we get something to
And
eat.
you're also making shutters
What?
for Judy's
Yeah,
house.
making shutters.
You've made them, now you gotta hang them.
And the house is all screwy. And we have to buff off part of the plaster and stuff. Mhm. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the dessert.
And you promised me a cruise
Yeah,
for my birthday.
yeah.
And what else was it?
We're going to
And we're
Mission
going to
Inn.
Mission Inn tomorrow
Yeah.
for my birthday.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, the next day, Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're going out with Dee Dee for my birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
okay,
so you're done.
yeah.
Is that enough now?
Why don't we get something to eat around
Yes, sir.
here?
Yeah?
But you didn't tell Mom about you 80 now.
I'm supposed to tell him now?
No, about you now. What it's like to be 80 now.
No? Well, this last week it's been okay, but up until then it's been up and down. But I'm feeling a lot better this
Yeah,
week,
she's
and I don't know
feeling
why.
better.
I'm doing things and I don't have the fuzz in my head, but my legs still sort of go down. And I'm going in for my treatment on my face for a month. And that's about all that's new right now. So,
And Emma and Annie come and visit you.
yeah, we have 2 dogs that come to visit, and so does Janet's. And the dogs carry on and have a big time. They know their cousins.
What's this, your
That's
cheat
about
sheet,
it.
so you know
That's
how to...
about it. Yeah,
what to
that's